with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow streets of cobblestone, neath the halo of a street lamp. I turned my collar to the cold and damp, when my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking, people hearing without listening, people writing songs and voices never shared, and no one dared disturb the sound of silence. Fool said I, you do not know. Silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms that I might reach you. But my words, like silent raindrops, fell and echoed in the wells of silence, and the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made, and the sign flashed out his warning, and the words that it was forming, and the sign said the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls, in tenement halls, and whispered in the sound of silence.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you haven't seen that video yet, you need to. Again.
And show it to more people.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that, that's our tribute to the 9/11. It's 9/13 right now, and we wanted to make sure that didn't just go by the wayside and forget about it. We need to never forget about it, and we kind of wanted to,
I actually, during that time, took a lot of newspapers and pictures and made like an album for my kids and grandkids.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's something that we don't want to ever forget. And in the current climate in our politics, it's going to happen again if we keep going the way we're going. I mean, you can't leave $85 billion worth of equipment in our enemy's hands that,
Well, back then in 2001, we didn't think anything like that could happen.
Yeah.
And things, like you say, have gotten much worse.
Times have changed.
Yeah,
and,
really have
and
changed.
it's getting worse. I mean, we've got, and nobody wants to say it in the mainstream media, but Trump's already talking about that the election might be turned over. You got China Joe in there, and right now, and I mean, anybody that thinks that Joe's doing a good job is, you got something wrong with you. I think.
Wow.
I mean, but there's people out there. I suppose. But
I think things are starting to change with the people. I think Afghanistan was a big deal for a lot of Americans.
A big wake-up call. Because everybody thinks that the government is supposed to take care of them and give them stuff, and if they're getting stuff, I always go back to the Indians and the the blankets with the smallpox.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like a good idea where they're handing out blankets until you realize that you're being poisoned. You know. And that's kind of what's been going on in our administration. I mean, we had promise after promise after promise, and we know that more than any place in the country at this point. I think, considering the recall that's going to happen tomorrow with Gavin Mussolini there,
right?
And so I want to play that, and then we'll chop it up in segments as we go along here, and stop it in different places and talk about it, because I was going through this video and I was like, wow, I forgot all about that. This guy really,
it's amazing
this guy really is a piece of crap.
Yeah.
I mean, he really is. When you start looking at what he's done and his policies, I mean, he reminds me of that Despicable Me character, Gru. I mean, he really does. If he put on a little weight, man, he could do it'd be a double for him. And, like a doppelganger, so we've got Gru basically down in charge in Sacramento, and is he despicable? Yeah, he's absolutely freaking despicable. And when you see all the stuff that this guy has done and you don't think he's despicable, then you're despicable. I mean, that's the real bottom line. So
maybe we should have changed it to, I don't know how many reasons you could get not to recall, because they're endless.
Well,
with
now
the reasons to call recall. I'm just saying, Now, I mean, what has he done good?
Well, there are a few things in here where people are just throwing stones. I don't know if Gavin Mussolini there is responsible for everything that's happening here, but I guarantee you, he's responsible for the majority of it. This guy is an absolute power drunk politician, and I was thinking about it this morning coming to the studio here. There's people that are rich, but rich doesn't equal power. I mean, because you can have a lot of money and be a nice guy somewhere. You could live your life out on a yacht somewhere in the Greek Greek islands, and sell from Santorini to Athens
not
or whatever,
bother anybody.
and not bother anybody.
Right.
And then you could be powerful, but not have money. Because eventually you're going to get to the money, because that's what you're doing with the power. It's kind of like our local guys here in the recall effort. I mean, how many people have they squashed? How many people have they took to the woodshed, so to speak, and intimidated and lied about, and how many contracts have been put together with their friends, that type of thing. Mm-hmm. So that's the power of the spectrum on government is that they can control the people with the money if they have enough power. And it's an interesting thought process when you think about it, is that, the idea is that you have to get the money to get the power, but I think you got to get the power to get the money.
Either way, it's not a good thing. Usually.
Was it the money or was it the power? I'm not sure. Was the power
usually
first
it's not
or
a
the money
good thing,
first?
and that's why we're doing recalls.
And then if you
either way, it's corruption.
Well, and then if you put a personality in that thing that is, marginally from Transylvania or something. I mean, that's what
or you're just
I got to quit banging the table. I'm hearing that myself.
Yeah.
But I mean, this guy could, if the guy popped up in a commercial and said, "Don't be afraid," I mean, would you be shocked?
No.
No, I mean, I want to drink your blood.
Me. Look into my eyes.
Well, evidently, a lot of people have been drinking the Kool-Aid, because here we go. So let's go ahead and start, and we'll play it. Let's take a look at a few of the things that Gavin has done to our great state of California.
Everybody outside this state is bitching about this state.
You feel like your actions and decisions of governor would rise to a level where a recall is a fair response from the voters?
No.
Okay, stop there for just a second. Look at his facial expressions. This guy doesn't know what accountability is. He's flat out being asked, do you think you're responsible for anything that's happened in the state of California that rises to the level of recall? And you look at his eyes. You know, it reminds me of the guy Quint on Jaws. You know, when they bite you, their little eyes roll back. You know what I mean?
The beady little eyes.
Yes. Yeah, we're going sharking. You know what I mean? The guy is screwed up. So go ahead and keep playing.
Gavin Newsom is freaking out. I wonder why so many people are trying to have him recalled. Could it be Gavin ordering Californians to stay home for months to avoid social gatherings? Or is it Gavin ignoring his own stay-at-home order to have dinner at the French Laundry with his cronies? Is it Gavin locking down the entire state, shutting down small mom-and-pop businesses?
Look at this. But right next to me, as a slap in my face.
Or maybe it's Gavin allowing movie productions to continue while family-owned restaurants go out of business. Could it be Gavin signing AB 5 into law, putting many independent contractors out of work?
Let's start.
Or is
Let's
it
stop
Gavin
there for a
awarding-
second. I got to talk about AB5.
Oh, AB5. Oh, boy.
It's like, so in other words, AB5 basically said that everybody's an employee.
Yes.
You know, and you can't be an
Regardless.
independent contractor regardless of you actually, because, you know, this is our area of expertise.
Yes.
There's what's called the 20 common law factors that determine whether you're an independent contractor or not. And there's control and there's these issues. He's basically, you know, the Constitution, I believe it's Article 1, Section 10, says that the right of contract shall not be infringed upon. This is a direct violation of that. This is a direct violation of the right to contract. And, you know, to just say, hey, you know, we're going to make everybody employees. Why do you think, what do you think his dog in the hunt is?
Oh, more money.
More money, yeah, because
we have
now
to pay payroll taxes.
payroll
now.
taxes,
Hey.
you know, that we can send to, you know, unemployment benefits to people in prisons and in other states, and who knows, maybe Afghanistan or something.
And we know firsthand of people this affected.
And
Big
this is
time.
such a draconian situation with this thing, is that you can, you know, once they come in and determine, well, you're an employee, then you owe back taxes for how long, and then they you know, dump a bunch of penalties and interest on it,
Yep.
and you get to appeal this to them.
Yeah, within their system.
Within their
It's not,
system.
Yeah, it's not an outside judge
No.
or a third party.
No.
It's within inside EDD that this happens.
Yeah, so of course you're guilty every single
Yeah.
time, you know, and so this guy that has you know, done this caused people. I mean, people are running out of the state, you know, over a lot of this stuff. But AB5 was a big deal, and it's still a big
It is
deal
still
because
big.
you know, when you start just throwing aside the Constitution and the rule of law in favor of collecting more money, and it's always under the guise for, oh yeah, we're here to help. We're doing this for our own good. The vaccines are here because we love you and your kids. It's like, you know, what a frickin'
Yeah, and that's the way those goons are at EDD. You know, don't you feel bad that you haven't paid any payroll tax on this money?
Yeah, I must have.
Yeah, you know, it's like, wow, okay.
I must show up my unemployment benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my patient. Who's going to pay my? It's
Yeah.
like that.
What?
Wait a minute. Who's going to pay my pension?
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
I mean, that's what you're getting.
yeah.
So it's
And it doesn't just stop there with this. It ends up going to the labor board as well. People don't realize that how many different layers this AB5 really is.
this
It's-
guy
yeah.
has his fingers in every single pie too. You know, you know, it's ridiculous. So let's go ahead and keep going here, and we'll stop when I, you know, get angry on the next deal, because I watched this and got more and more angry listening to it.
In no-bid contracts to his biggest campaign donors, or pays his wife a six-figure salary? Is it Gavin's own companies receiving $3 million from the Paycheck Protection Program?
Stop
Or is
there.
it
Yep, right
Gavin
there.
or-
Stop there.
Whoa.
$3 million
Does that sound familiar?
from the Paycheck Protection. They're all in on this deal, locally and the state and all across the board. This whole COVID thing is a scam to declare this emergency, have all this emergency money coming in, and everybody's getting a boost. All the salary boosters are going to everybody's friends.
They really care about the small business as they collect 3.
Well, let's look at the local situation.
I know, we're back to 3. How come 3 is the magic number here? Because at local, with the CARES money, it's 3. I mean, are they stuck on 3?
I don't know. It's nuts, though, because California, across the board has been doling this stuff out to their friends locally and across the state. And he's giving a salary boost to his company, to his wife. It's like no, nothing going on here, nothing to see here. And the media reports none of this crap.
Well, no.
That's what gets me more than anything is that's why we're doing this stuff. That's why we're doing podcasts. That's why you're seeing so many citizen journalists come into the arena, because we've had enough of this crap. And it's like, well, why don't they report? They can't all be corrupted. Well, yeah, they kind of can, because China's got more money than God, all right? And this guy's dealing with China, and we'll see more of that. And China has been slowly, over time, infiltrating our news organizations. I mean, whether it's the bankers, whether it's the printing of the money, the lending. I mean, that's one of the reasons the Founding Fathers wanted a gold standard, is because you can't counterfeit it. But that's exactly what the government's doing. That's where all this money's coming from, because they're creating this debt and they're borrowing from the future, basically, to keep throwing this money in. And do you think this is going to end badly at some point? Yeah, I mean,
there's not a lot of choice with it.
Inflation is going to start going through the roof. It already is. Right now, we are in a free fall economically across the board. Our GDP ratio is going down faster than any time in history, and our inflation rate is going up faster than any time in history. Gee, what could go wrong?
Yeah.
While they kill our economy, while this guy's dealing with China. Go ahead and keep rolling, Elijah, and I swear I got to get mad.
10% pay cut for state workers while reneging on a promise to reduce his own pay. Or maybe it's Gavin forcing hundreds of thousands of out-of-work Californians to wait for months for money they're owed. Could it be Gavin shutting down churches and even cracking down on singing?
We're not permitted to sing. To think that a person can say, you cannot sing in
now,
church.
Stop there. That's not power drunk? I mean, really?
I forgot about that.
That's what I'm saying. As we go through this, you start remembering every little thing that they've got lined up here. So it's okay to go to the Cheetahs Men's Club.
Wow.
But the churches, you don't want to go to the church and sing.
That's bad.
You don't want to,
Church bad.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. So I'll go ahead and keep going.
Remained open as they were deemed essential. Or maybe it's pastors getting fined as much as $50,000 for opening their doors. Could it be Gavin's widespread abuse of emergency executive power?
He says a return to life as normal in that state will not happen anytime soon.
Or maybe it's Gavin refusing to give up that emergency executive power even after the CDC lifted all COVID-19 restrictions. Could it be Gavin's new restrictive gun and ammo laws that would make it easy for the government to seize your guns?
They can actually take the gun before the person who's fighting it has a chance to go to the judge and make his argument.
Or maybe it's Gavin sitting back and enabling Antifa and BLM to terrorize cities. Could it be Gavin's failure to repeal Prop 47, reducing felonies to misdemeanors? Or is it Gavin legislatively handcuffing the police with AB 392? Or maybe it's Gavin making it no longer illegal to not help an officer in need? Could it be Gavin overruling the vote of the people by staying the death penalty for over 700 hardened criminals on death row? Or is it Gavin welcoming pregnant women to come to California to fund and facilitate abortions of innocent babies? Or maybe it's Gavin dismantling the death chamber and redistributing death row inmates throughout California's prison system? Could it be Gavin granting criminals leniency, giving them lighter sentences with Prop 57? Or is it Gavin closing the gun stores so Californians can't defend their families? Or maybe it's Gavin making 76,000 more violent career felons eligible for early release? Could it be Gavin fast-tracking criminals back onto the street with AB 109?
Yeah, let's stop there. Unfreaking believable. It's hard not to stop at every point here, just because this guy is a absolute train wreck. I mean, how can you do this and not be considered evil? This guy is evil.
Yeah, and he did it very rapidly. It wasn't like it was over a long period of time.
This guy's
It's like boom, 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 boom.
This guy's the perfect Manchurian candidate. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the fact that he's comes from a family of mobsters. I mean, maybe that has something to do with it. But we know that Pelosi, she's from Baltimore, and her father was like in the mob.
And they're having to deal with these people that they're letting out, right?
So criminals aren't really criminals to these guys.
Yeah.
The people who follow the law and try to live a life and be, do the right thing are the criminals. But the criminals are not the criminals.
Yeah.
So is it like the power, the money, the what is it? I mean, is it so why do they do this? I don't know. I mean, if we were going to, have a psych evaluation on Gavin Newsom, I mean,
I don't think they have that in the psych book. I don't know if there's actually a term for evil.
I mean, I don't know. What do we got to get the crosses out and make sure that the
garlic?
We I don't know how you do. We got to drive a stake or something. I mean, that's how I feel about this guy. He is that bad. And you listen to the news right now, and he's there to save. Have you seen their commercials?
Yeah. He has saved California. It's a matter of life and death. And I heard that this morning. It's
it's a matter of life and death.
It's a life and death
for
situation.
your children.
Yeah, but
he's here for your children. Are you freaking kidding me? I mean, he's letting people out like this, jailed 14 times on a stabbing spree. But you don't need a gun.
He let out like 20,000 prisoners.
He's just misguided. He's just a little misguided. He's really a nice guy. After 14 times in jail, you turn over a new leaf. I mean,
is that it? And I'm sure around his house there's no fences. He doesn't have any armed guards or anything, or security.
Well,
Newsom doesn't have any of that, right?
Fences don't work.
He just lives in a normal house in a normal neighborhood like everybody else, right?
Yeah, like the $4 million house that he purchased with money that came from nowhere through an LLC. Yeah. Anyway, we won't go there.
Yeah.
But go ahead and keep rolling it, Elijah. Let's just get you mad as you go.
15 times, and AB 109 kept him from going back to prison.
Or is it Gavin closing California prisons as crime rises in major cities? Or maybe it's Gavin making it harder for law enforcement to identify criminals. Could it be Gavin signing SB 145 into law, reducing penalties for sodomy with minors, protecting pedophiles?
Stop there. Okay. Are you freaking kidding me? I mean, let's reduce the penalties for pedophiles sodomizing kids. In my book,
you don't see him being evil.
If I was king or I was in charge, we would bring back public hangings. We would bring back public executions. We would make people watch these guys die. Okay, because as far as I'm concerned, if you're doing stuff like that to a child, you need to go. You need to go visit Satan down there in hell for a while.
You can't rehabilitate anybody like that.
For eternity, actually, not a little while. And you need to see if you can make amends down there. I seriously doubt if the devil is going to let you off the hook. The darkness that this absolutely permeates through the soul of an individual who does something like that is not retrievable, in my opinion.
I agree. But the person that thought of this, Governor Newsom, whoa.
They're defending, so California State Senator defends AB 45 relating to sex offenders. Would expand discretion for judge in certain cases to exempt mandatory sex offender registration.
What kind of person even thinks of that stuff?
Well, I don't know. Guys that maybe, I don't know. I'm going to say something I probably shouldn't, but let's move on.
To register as a sex offender? Or maybe it's Gavin enabling serial rapists to continue terrorizing children. Is it that a man caught with a mountain of child porn can be arrested, then allowed to post bond and walk free? Or is it the grotesque sexual education materials being peddled to children as young as 4?
Stop there.
The condom.
Really? So now we've got to sexualize our children by law with these guys, and they got their CR, the critical race theory. They got the child homosexual books that we're supposed to teach our kids.
But then they're going to a younger age and safe sex of. Yes, stuff like that. I can't even describe or talk about.
This is about the demoralization of society, to make government God. If you think that there's a higher power, that you have some rules to follow to make society work, to have a civil society, do unto your neighbors, you'd have them do unto you, the golden rule. There's a few guidelines here from God, the Bible, if you will, that are things that make society run better, where you care about your neighbor. What do you think is going to happen when you go down this shaft of degradation into this pit of this crap that this guy is promoting? Let's go ahead and listen to what this gal has to say. It expands on it further.
Relay races. The teacher is told, make it a fun game. Dental dams for oral on anal sex. 11 and 12-year-olds.
Could it be Gavin signing SB 276 into law, restricting parents' right to seek medical exemptions to vaccines?
I do not play. I want to be really clear. This is something we offer but don't have to. I'm letting people say they're a mother. I'm not letting people go into testimony about their children's medical conditions or perceived medical conditions.
Or is it children's medical records being automatically entered into a state health database?
Stop there. I did not know that. So now, did you see the arrogance on that idiot? Oh, well, we don't have to give them medical exemptions because we're in power and we are. I mean, that person needs to be drug out into the Capitol steps and beat or put in a stock or something. Oh, I guess we just don't elect them. But, when we get to the voting machines and all of that kind of crap and how they've been rigging the votes and everything else through the Dominion voting machines, we're just nutcases. You know how you tell if you post anything that challenges the elections, the fact checkers come out.
Well, yeah.
Because you just don't know what's going on. You're some kind of a right-wing nut job terrorist. But the facts say otherwise. And they don't care about the facts, because when you do this depth of demoralization on a population, they're much easier to control. They're much easier to manipulate. When they become poor and dependent on you for their health care, they are so much easier to herd, just sheep into the pen. Yeah. And then you milk them and bleed them, just like you would chattel, and that's what they think of us. They think that we're just stupid chattel for their benefit. And it's pretty obvious as you go through this. Do I seem a little angry?
It just makes me sick. Not just angry, it's sick. Don't you, anybody that is breathing a little bit, can't you see what they're doing and at what levels?
Well,
it doesn't stop. It's all centered around, if you look at it, sex.
Well, okay, that's the demoralization. It's like, you could lose custody of your kids if they want a gender transition. Kids don't know what ends up. And if you're feeding them this garbage, they're very impressionable. They don't know what ends up, and they could regret doing something like that the rest of their life. If they become an adult and they do what they want to do, whatever. Okay, that's different.
Right.
When you become age and you make your own decisions. This is so low that it's ridiculous. And there's all this transition, transgender, identification. It's all bullshit.
It is.
Okay, it's
total
bullshit. So what it does is that it makes people demoralized and easy to control. They lose their self-esteem. They lose their lives basically to this kind of crap from these people.
Yeah, they become like a zombie because everybody's the same. They have nothing.
I don't know.
I'm just saying, if you look at it, they have nothing. They have no character. They have nothing. Everybody is to be the same as everybody else.
And you don't come back from that, and the idea is that they're all different. Everybody's different. No, it's like saying, can you choose to be 66 years old? Well, I don't choose to be 66 years old, but it's coming up. Okay. But can I choose to be 30 years old?
Not if you're 66.
No, because it's the reality is that it's impossible to change your age.
Right.
The reality is you are either male or female, or you have some kind of a not disease, but some kind of a mutation, birth defect, if you will, otherwise. But you don't change from one to the other because you decide to.
Because I feel like it today.
Yeah, because I can decide to be a mushroom if I want, right? Does that make me a mushroom?
Sure.
No. I knew you were going to say that. Let's keep going, Elijah.
Yeah. Allowing schools to take children for medical procedures.
To get birth control, including the morning after pill and abortion, without parental knowledge or parental permission, beginning at age 12.
Could it be Gavin putting the teachers' union interests ahead of the interests of children and families? Or is it Gavin shutting down California's public schools while his own kids went to private school? Or maybe it's Gavin forcing mask mandates on children, but not for his own kids, caught not wearing a mask at a summer camp. Could it be Gavin letting teachers' unions dictate when schools reopen and on what terms? Or maybe it's pushing mask mandates on kids for schools to resume in-person learning, even though minors are statistically at the least risk. Could it be Gavin's executive order to phase out gasoline-powered cars by 2035? Or is it Gavin threatening a state takeover of Pacific Gas and Electric? Could it be Gavin pushing the use of electric cars, then urging electric car owners to not charge their car so as to not overwhelm the failing power grid? Too late. Maybe it's the rolling blackouts that cause deaths of seniors who depend on reliable power for their medical equipment.
California Governor Gavin Newsom said the reason for blackouts falls squarely on PG&E.
They've created these conditions. It was unnecessary. We're doing everything in our power, my gosh, doing everything in our power to help them help themselves.
Or maybe it's the ill preparedness of state disaster response agencies. Could it be Gavin cutting $150 million from California's fire protection budget?
Let's stop there. This guy has cut the fire budget. They stopped the cleanup of the forests. They rerouted the money. And then they go, wow, the fire is exploding because of climate change?
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable. We've had the worst fire season. We've had smoke we got the Dixie Fire over here that's almost 1 million acres now. It'll probably be 1 million acres easy before it's over with. Yeah. It's probably going to burn until we get some rain in November. And this guy is directly responsible for this by cutting back on the money that went into CAL FIRE and rerouting it to someplace else. Go ahead, Elijah.
Hundreds of square miles of under-maintained forestry that always catches fire, inadvertently creating a fifth season, fire season.
Multiple blazes breaking out across the state.
Down there, that's the San Fernando Valley. The scene this morning, apocalyptic. And behind me was an entire neighborhood, all gone.
Or maybe it's
the Dixie Fire, the 6th largest in the state's history in Greenville, leaving nothing but the bones of homes and businesses in its wake.
We lost Greenville tonight. It feels like you're on the set of a horror film.
There's nothing to burn. There's nothing left. Some of the firefighters who've been dealing with this one fire now for nearly a month.
6 of the last 10 largest wildfires in California history have burned over the course of the last year. Officials in this area say the brush is so dry that it only takes one spark to start a new one.
Could it be Gavin wanting to raise taxes, including a tax on water? Or is it Gavin letting our fresh water flow from our mountains out to the ocean? While
that's another one. Stop there.
Pumping.
The mismanagement of our water resources, those dams and those lakes and those reservoirs were set up to last 3 or 4 years. They're gone in one season because they're more worried about the stupid Delta smelt than they are actual people. And they've got all this environmental whack job policies in all of these areas that are, more worried about the environmental impact than they are people. And look at what's happening with the environmental impact. It's exactly the opposite. What do you think is going to happen if the whole forest burned down? I'm sure that's pretty good and then let's talk about air pollution and electric vehicles. Are you kidding me? We've been living in smoke for months now, and that's okay because, it's not the same as some gas coming out of your tailpipe.
I was thinking about this morning with the water. On the local news, how they give the lake is so many feet below and how much they're releasing. And I'm thinking, why are we releasing anything? Hello?
Exactly.
I mean, why is that even up there at this point?
I mean,
the lake is almost gone. Look at Oroville. Is pretty well gone.
Yeah.
And you're still going to release
They're going to keep releasing stuff. That's exactly right. They're creating this drought. They're creating this drought and they're creating this drought and by their mismanagement.
Mismanagement of the water. Can't even fight the fires because where's the water going to come from here pretty soon?
The gas is coming out of this guy's pie hole and not his tailpipe, although there probably is some of that too. But
and how many electric cars does he drive?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I'm just asking.
He's probably got some limo that, pollutes because, he's taking private jets and running around.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys, it's all rules for thee, not for me.
Right.
And that's what this is.
A bunch of bullshit.
But if you look at policy after policy, and we're not even halfway through this thing yet. Policy after policy where this guy has wrecked California and he's up there going,
I really like the people.
I got no culpability.
Everything I've done is for all of you guys out there.
This is, I mean, could you kiss my ring for me, please? I mean, come on. All right, go ahead, Elijah. Let's keep going.
Wastewater into our taps? Or is it the manufactured water shortage affecting farmers? Or maybe it's Gavin telling farmers in the San Joaquin Valley that they should shut down production on 2 million acres of farmland. Could it be California having the highest homeless rate in the country? Or is it California having the highest poverty rate in the country?
We have not seen conditions for humans like this since medieval times.
Or is it the billions of dollars wasted on failed homeless programs? Or maybe it's the homeless eating trash out of the dumpster. Is it the lack of healthcare treatment for the mentally ill? Or maybe it's the tens of thousands suffering from substance abuse.
Yeah, stop there. Let's just leave the borders open. Let them all come over.
Yeah.
The cartel's in charge of the border. What could go wrong? They've already, and I think the next clip they're going to talk about all the illegal drugs that enough to kill them, like fentanyl is now the big thing, enough to kill us over 3 times. But let's just keep letting the illegal aliens in. Let them vote, and we're going to go over that. Go ahead, Elijah.
They don't bring.
Is it the ineffective needle exchange program?
Used needles, bottles of urine, and mountains of garbage, the hazardous byproducts of life on the streets.
Or is it the return of typhus while countless thousands of homeless people are left to slowly die on the freeway overpasses? Is it the lack of transparency with Measure H and Proposition Triple H? Could it be Gavin criminally defying federal law with fostering sanctuary cities? Or is it Gavin hindering the federal government's efforts to complete the southern border wall?
A 2,000-mile wall is a monument to stupidity.
There's no downside on securing our border. There's no downside on less illegal immigration. There's no downside on less illegal drugs. There's no downside in taking money out of the criminal cartel's hands who've murdered our agents and smuggled drugs and people into this country illegally. Enough opioids last year were seized by ICE to kill every man, woman, and child 3 times.
Could it be Gavin going out of his way to aid and abet illegal aliens to protect them from ICE?
You say you pledge to take ICE out of the county jails. What does that mean?
I'm going to physically kick them out of the county jail. Uniformed ICE agents are not going to set foot anymore in the county jail.
Or maybe it's allowing illegal aliens to vote in local elections and sit on state boards. Could
Stop
it be
there.
Gavin?
Unfreaking believable.
Yeah.
So let's let the borders open, let all the illegal aliens in, the drugs, all of that, the homeless thing, but we're going to let them vote. And you'll see as they registered them with the DMV, they want these guys voting because they can be manipulated or, they want stuff. And the government's going to provide all this stuff, whether it's phones, this and that. So they're just increasing their voting base, so is that cheating? I mean,
isn't that against the law?
Well, yeah, it kind of is. But
yeah, you know what I'm
saying? Do you think
How
the law
can they...
matters to these guys?
Well, no.
The rule of law has no bearing on these guys. They think they are above the law. They think they are the law. This goes back to the feudal system. We are going back to the feudal system with a guy with a total freaking asshole like this. I mean, he just, lies to you in your face, lies about everything. He's doing deals, making money. It's just unfreaking believable. And you got to have a brain that you could put on the head of a pin to believe any of this crap that this guy's operating for your benefit. If you're a Democrat and you believe this guy, you need to have your a freaking brain scan.
Yeah.
If I wouldn't have had a brain scan, they would find nothing. I mean, that's exactly what's going on here. So
if he really cares, how come we have so much, homelessness and everything they're talking about?
Gee, it couldn't be our policies down there at the Capitol, could it? Okay, let's keep rolling.
Instituting the individual mandate to punish Californians for not getting health coverage they already can't afford? Or is it Gavin granting free Medi-Cal healthcare coverage to non-citizen adults up to 26 years old, and now expanding that coverage to seniors? What about U.S. citizens who still don't have healthcare coverage? Or maybe it's Gavin giving illegal aliens income tax refunds, welfare, housing, education, food stamps, and cell phones, all for free. It's not free, it's taxpayer funded. Could it be California having the highest state income tax in the country? Or could it be having some of the highest state sales tax in the country? Could it be the sky-high cost of rent? Or maybe it's the constant attacks on Howard Jarvis's Prop 13 hurting commercial property owners? Could it be Gavin wanting to raise business taxes?
Let's stop there, Elijah. This is one of my complete pet peeves. So they put a mandate that and I'm not sure that Gavin is responsible for this as much as China Joe, is that they put a restriction on landlords so they can't evict people who don't pay their rent.
Right.
What do you think is going to happen to the landlords? I have been a landlord. You have been a landlord.
Yeah.
You understand what's going on. In other words, if I don't pay my mortgage, are they going to foreclose on my house? Because I count on that rent, and a lot of seniors count on rent to pay for these things because it keeps the ball rolling on the property, and they get a little bit off the top for their retirements,
right,
instead of depending on CalPERS or CalSTRS or these bankrupt pensions that the government guys are all getting, and which, by the way, I've been thinking about this for a long time. Did you know that most of these government people don't pay into Social Security?
Yes, I do know that because we do taxes.
We see it every single day.
Every day.
I don't think the average person knows that the government workers are not. Most of them. There's a few exceptions, but most of them are not paying any Social Security tax. So the rest of us are getting bled, and these guys are paying into a private fund pension is going bankrupt too. I mean, Social Security just put out a thing the other day saying they're going to go bankrupt a year earlier because what happens if you put all the businesses out of business?
Have no workers.
Do you have no workers? do they pay taxes? Do they pay into the unemployment and all that stuff? No. Do they pay Social Security tax? No. So you got the government guys not paying at all, and then you put everybody else out of business. You think the fund's going to go broke quicker?
Yeah. And then back to the landlords. So you can't kick the people out of the house that are renting, but the landlords can go into foreclosure.
Right.
And lose their property.
They lose their property,
their income,
their retirement, or they lose what they've worked a lifetime for.
Exactly.
These people that a lot of them own these properties have worked a lifetime to save up, to buy these things, to put them together so that they have a retirement fund based off of their rental properties.
Right, but for their children.
That
to
too.
Get residual income.
So it can. So some government yahoo can just
come
go
in and whoop them up.
Well, just go. Yeah, see, that's power. When you could just go, when you've got the dictator in chief up there, and then you got another dictator, and they're heavy on the dicks here with the taters, because that's what these guys are. They're issuing edicts like kings, like dictators, and so what's happening is they can wipe you out by simply saying, you can't.
I'm going to foreclose on you and take everything you got.
Well, that's the banks. The banks will foreclose. So
sure they will.
Absolutely. So it is a rigged game, and these guys are tyrants. This is tyranny, and this is what the Founding Fathers warned us about. These people are exactly what the Founding Fathers warned us about. If you let government grow unchecked, as it has, if you let a central bank issue your currency, you'll wake up homeless in the land that your fathers conquered through taxes and inflation and the large corporations that would spring up around them, and they buy the government, they buy the news media, they buy all
everything.
of this stuff. And then you would throw China in the mix, and their little, they got their little Sun Tzu game going. The Art of War by Sun Tzu talks extensively about how you win a war with never fighting a battle. What you do is, by the time you win the war, you just walk through the city gates and you own everything.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe they're trying to implement that strategy here?
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what they're doing. They're setting it up to where the whole thing falls into itself, and they walk right in through the gate, and now they're in
at
charge.
That point, it's not going to matter who you are, whether you're the illegals, the everyday Joe citizen.
No,
it's not going to matter at that point. We all lose at that point. Don't you understand, folks? Is we all lose our liberty at that point.
These people are cutting their own throats, and they don't even know it.
Yeah.
They're being bribed out of their freedom. They're being bribed. Oh, freedom's not so good. You might have to actually work and produce things, and gee, if everybody works and produces things, our standard of livings will all go up because we're producing. Or we can do what these guys are doing, which is we just get paid and they keep borrowing money, and we don't really produce anything, and our GDP falls through the floor, and our poverty level goes straight up through.
And we rely on China
the
for
roof,
everything,
and everything's good because. Yeah. And that's like these idiots, on the radio program yesterday. Oh, I got a master's in economics, micro or macro. Really, what they taught him was Keynesian economics, which is communism, basically. And they never taught him any Austrian form of economics. So he knows one side of the thing that's been bastardized and to make it look like it's good. But it never works. It always implodes.
It never has worked.
It never will work because you're incentivizing laziness. Okay.
Yeah.
We got off on a rant there, but let's keep going. We got a few more minutes of this.
It's the introduction of a new tax with every bowel movement. Could it be Gavin having carte blanche to raise gas taxes at whim without voter?
So they're going to tax bowel movements? I'll have to do a little research on that one. I heard that one.
I just caught that. I'm not sure.
I don't know. Is there a toilet paper tax? Is there a water tax on flushes? What are you going to put a little meter on my on the John?
Don't give them any ideas. I'm just saying. But you're going to have to remember how you used to have to put the dime in to get the bathroom door open. I mean, they're going to.
Wow. That's how these people think. Just analyze that for a second. That's how these people think. They're trying to tax your mileage now. They've got a bill introduced so that.
Well, that was in the infrastructure bill.
Evidently, that's passed.
Wow.
I don't know. They're coming at us so fast. It's the bottom up, top down thing. That's what this is about. This is about squashing the middle class. Gee, where did we ever hear that before in any communist revolution? Get rid of the middle class. Huh.
Yeah. Well, they want to do that so that you have to go to the electric car, so then they have control of the electricity, so they can tell you when and how and where you can go.
There's going to be no electricity.
That's what I'm saying. And they'll cut you off.
They're cutting us off now. So what you'll have is a car that sits out in the driveway that's worthless.
So then you'll have to move to the city.
Because it's going to cost you, to fill it up. To charge the battery, by the time you're done.
You have to drive to San Francisco to charge it.
And if they take over PG&E, come on. All right, let's keep going. Go ahead, Elijah.
Or is it California having some of the highest gas prices in the country? Could it be Gavin diverting gas tax revenue to his pet projects instead of roads, dams, and bridges? Or is it California having the highest vehicle registration costs, yet still having some of the worst roads?
From the potholes in Long Beach and even bigger ones in Fresno to the cracked streets of Placentia and Lomita are in sad shape.
Or maybe it's the billions of dollars wasted on the high-speed train to nowhere that no one asked.
The high-speed rail.
That goes
nowhere. The ghost train to nothing. There's no payoffs going on there. How many billions have we got in,
I thought it said
we got in there, it says
20.5
billion. So from Bakersfield to Merced at a cost of 20, and they probably went over budget. Do you think maybe that there's any kickbacks going on here to people's friends? It's just like the foreign
who got
aid.
that contract?
It's just like the foreign aid. This is what they do. This is how they operate. It's like they send the money to Afghanistan, for example, and Afghanistan gets the money. Do you think any of those people get kickbacks into the offshore accounts, in Cyprus or Isle of Man or the Bahamas or something? That's what they're doing. Yeah. So if they send $1 billion over there, it's like China Joe. He sends $1 billion over to Ukraine.
And he gets $1 million.
And then via Hunter and it's not Fang Fang. Fang Fang was with Swalwell, but there was another Chinese spy that he slept with for 20 years, and it's like the media doesn't pick any of this up, right? Oh, and if you put that in there, they'll probably fact check you like, well, there's partly missing information. What's missing information? The color of her dress? I mean, that's what they're doing, and so they're trying to drive this narrative. But I believe that they're starting to lose the narrative, or we wouldn't even be having these recalls like we're having, and people are starting to get fed up. And when you put enough of this stuff in front of your face to look at and verify and fact check for yourself, because part of the whole process of being free is actually thinking for yourself.
And the thing of it too, with the recall stuff, if this is going on at the state level, what's going on at the local level? And we're finding out a lot of this is the same stuff is happening at the local level.
Well, it's like you got the jerk face Modi. They put out a thing saying, well, Joan, there's a feud going on, and then I love the way that the Record Searchlight frames it. And Mike Mangus writes the article, who's a piece of crap too. Mm-hmm. So they frame it like Jones is the bad guy here because he's accused. And look at these letters from his other cronies that were there saying that there was no off the record meeting and in a closed session and Modi didn't get fired when and then he's like they're blatantly lying. I can put up with a lot of things, but when they start blatantly lying about things, I have to put my foot down and I might have to sue them.
What a two-face.
The pot calling the kettle black.
Yeah.
You talk about a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's up there. We've seen him go call a press conference with his other two cronies that are getting recalled or voted out in the next election. I don't know what's going to happen. We're still in the process.
Right.
But, he gets up there on the steps and says, well, the recall effort is laundering money and getting dark money and they are under investigation for criminal activities. And then there's Mike Mangus, bing, 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 taking his little pictures. And then he runs over and runs his article through the paper and through Channel 7. And then they print that the next day. And then the three three amigos get up there and they go, look, this proves it. They're under investigation because it's in the paper now. It's called a wraparound smear, but they're not lying, are they? They didn't lie about anything. Are you kidding me? This guy has lied about everything. He is an absolute asshole.
Well, yeah, we could go on about it, but let's go on with this. Because I was going to go with the flyers and everything else with the
well, let's finish this. Let's finish this.
Let's finish this.
Could it be Gavin having zero accountability and transparency when it comes to spending? Or maybe it's Gavin spending $12 million to convert an arena to treat COVID patients, but only treating 9 patients? Wow. Could it be Gavin wanting to close the Veterans Home with a $22 million annual budget right before Memorial Day? Or maybe it's the thousands of veterans who wrote a blank check up to their life to serve this country, left destitute on the street? Or is it Gavin blowing $20 million of our tax dollars on studying vaping? Or maybe it's Gavin spending $125 million on cash payments to illegal aliens. Could it be Gavin granting $1 billion no-bid contract to a Chinese firm that donated tens of thousands to his campaign to produce faulty face masks? Wow. Or is it blowing an additional $315 million on a second order of masks?
Let's stop there. Okay, so this guy buys gets a contract with China for $95 million at the start of this COVID thing for masks, which we know don't work. I have a little clip that we can play. If we can't get it today, we'll get it next week, that proves that the masks don't work in the first place. But why are you having no bid contracts with the Chinese, who, by the way, we now know through emails that Fauci's been lying all along, as if you didn't know that. And we know that he's been lying all along about funding the gain-of-function research in Wuhan with the Chinese. And these scientists, they're not under the control of the CCP, are they? The communist Chinese, But
if you believed in the virus and how deadly, why would you be buying masks from the place that created it?
Why would you keep extending the emergency when the emergency has been over? Why don't they publish the actual correct death rates? Why don't they publish the actual adverse reactions to the vaccines? See, we're being played.
Well, just like they showed earlier about the hospital. I forget how many millions or whatever for that hospital, and 9 patients.
We're being played.
Yeah, 9 patients.
These guys are playing us like a fiddle, and you got half of these idiots out there, the useful idiots that are running around, that check nothing out. They got educated by, with a degree in nothing college. By people. Yeah, exactly. I went to college. I got a degree.
I went to a University of San Francisco.
I got a master's in transgender theory. Yeah, that's really marketable as a job skill. All right, let's keep going.
Company. Could it be Gavin sending over $30 billion in fraudulent EDD checks to prison inmates? Or maybe it's California being over $1 trillion in debt. Could it be Gavin seeking billions of dollars in collateralized loans from China? Or maybe it's California's billions of dollars in unfunded pension liabilities. Could it be the draconian environmental policies killing entire industries? Or is it the business-crushing regulations forcing thousands of businesses out of California? Or maybe it's that Newsom oversaw California's first population decline in state history. Or maybe it's the unclean voter rolls, mandatory mail-in voting, and a terribly flawed motor voter system.
Under new California law, people will be allowed to register to vote, and it'll happen actually automatically when they obtain or renew their driver's license, regardless of whether they're U.S. citizens.
A new state audit reveals massive flaws with California's motor voter system at the DMV.
A new state audit uncovered some 84,000 duplicate records at the Department of Motor Vehicles, 171,000 cases of voters assigned to the wrong political party. In one instance last October, around 1,500 non-citizens were mistakenly registered to vote. And the Secretary of State's office admitted there are illegal aliens living in California who are now successfully registered to vote, with nothing to stop them but their own conscience.
We found hundreds of people who are eligible to vote but shouldn't be because they're dead. Her former neighbor, Ralph Howie, we found his name listed as someone who voted in 2016. Records also show he voted in 2014, 2012, and 2010. But according to the Social Security Administration, Howie, who was born in 1905, died in 2009 at the age of 104.
Could it be Gavin reporting fraudulent COVID numbers to not hurt his approval rating? Or is it California requiring all state employees to show proof of vaccination or be tested weekly? Is it Gavin mandating vaccines for all healthcare workers? Or maybe it's Gavin.
And I bet you that they're not mandating vaccines for their staff. I bet we know that Congress is not mandating vaccines for the guys in Congress or the White House, the White House staff. So these guys, I mean, if this doesn't make your blood boil, I mean, you're not an American. I mean, this is ridiculous. What they're doing and this the disingenuousness of Gavin acting like that none of this is his fault. He's doing doing
everything he can to protect everyone.
I guess if he wasn't there, we'd be in bedrock, right? With the Flintstones driving around in cars, pedaling with our feet. I mean, if he hasn't done any of this? I mean, I remember when California was a great state. You didn't see homeless people everywhere. It used to be a Republican state. They're cheating on everything. If you look at the vote, the guy's voting that's dead. Okay, and then if you bring this up, say, "Oh, there's fraudulent voter." Oh, well, you're just a right-wing Trumper, aren't you?
Yeah.
Because
you're a racist.
You're a racist. You're a homophobe. You don't like people in India. It's like it's all about the smear tactics. It's all about the name calling. It's never about the facts because they don't want you to see the facts because these guys are freaking criminals.
And why is it the first time in history, did you catch that, the first time in history that the population is decreasing in California? Everybody's leaving.
Why?
Yeah, there's nothing going on, no problem. All the businesses are going out.
They put my business under and my livelihood, and they're taxing me into slavery, and they're bringing in illegal aliens and letting criminals go. What could happen? There's homeless everywhere. My property values are sinking. How'd you like to own a store down in San Francisco right now? You got to have a poop map to get to a poop and needle map to get to your front door.
Yeah,
that's really good for customer service, isn't it?
Yeah.
let's keep going.
Newsom putting COVID patients into nursing homes, or is it all the above? Take a wild guess.
Everybody outside this state is bitching about this state.
That's the end of it. Yeah.
Vote yes to recall Gavin Newsom, September 14th.
I wonder why they're bitching about this state. I just can't understand it.
And everybody's bitching about the table. We got to watch pounding on the table because I do the same thing. It's not you. It's just it's the table we need to.
I had never seen that. That's pretty good. More
it's hard
people
not to pound on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I watched that this morning. I was like, yeah, that's perfect because you there's so many egregious violations of everything that is common sense, lawful way to live. That you forget about a bunch of it because it's coming at you so fast that really capsulizes. It's like 14-minute video, but it really capsulizes how bad this rat bastard is. And his administration and what he's been doing and the depth of his denial that none of it's his responsibility is global warming and Trump.
Yeah, sure it is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he, again, like I said earlier, he did it in such a short period of time. Look at how long he's actually been in office, and look how fast it's gone to where we are now.
We got about 5 minutes.
Yeah,
so,
it's just.
Where do we stop here? It's
and again, it flows over to me to the local recall too, because they're doing a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe not as rapid.
Maybe not as large.
Right. Maybe not as large.
That's a smaller deal. But these guys have supported every policy that Gavin Newsom has issued from his towery, ivory towering, palace down in wherever he's at. The king has spoken. Oh, run! We can't do anything about it. Let's. We have to because what are we going to do if we don't get our money?
Right.
Yeah, that's really what it's all about, And we're conservatives. Yes, we're conservative people who believe in the rule of law and honesty and apple pie and
So
really?
And they go along with the governor. I don't get that. You complain about him. Or they say that they're conservatives, but they're going to follow him, even though it's not law or whatever.
Yeah, mandates aren't law. He's been operating illegal with his emergency mandates. They should have been over a long time ago.
Even though you know that he has that he's evil.
Okay, I'm buying it.
So you go along with evil because why?
Because evil is good.
Oh,
and if it wasn't for good. There'd be no evil.
Well, yeah, but you're saying what I'm saying. So your excuse of, the governor said.
Well, the problem
is bullshit.
The problem is that it's all baloney. It's all baloney.
Is.
You got our local guys here saying they're conservatives, and that's how they get elected. You can't get elected around here unless you say you are conservative, because it's like 64% of the population is conservative people that are ranchers and hard workers and so forth. So they
are Americans.
So they tell everybody they're one thing and they do another, because most of the people don't go down to the board of supervisors. They don't sit in on the meetings. They don't look at the budgets. They don't see what's being passed. Well, we've been watching this for like 2 years, and it's becoming very apparent what they're doing. It's like this whole thing with Nathan Moron, the Pinckney guy, and going after Carlos Zapata, for something that shouldn't have been prosecuted while avoiding
a simple misdemeanor.
A misdemeanor, while they're going to a full-blown trial because they wanted him to plead to him, plead it down so that he would actually say that he's guilty. And oh boy, they wouldn't have used that for cannon fodder. In the meantime, Modi, who's supposed to be the conservative, is showing the guy how to get a restraining order on Carlos
Zapata. Stepping out of your bounds,
and he's a total Marxist. I mean, we got pictures of the guy bragging about setting fires on I-5, and stealing stuff from the store and making food out of it. And he's from Antifa. We got pictures of this same guy, on the front lines up there in Seattle, during the chop raid and the Antifa and burning the city. And that's the guy that Modi goes out to support, but the other guy, a Marine Corps veteran, owns a ranch locally,
right?
Supporting the Red, White, and Blueprint Project, which we are not part of. But he's the bad guy. Why? Because the Marxists is supporting their recall effort, and it's as plain as the nose on your face. They're the ones that were supporting all three of these guys. So how can you say you're a conservative? Oh, I'm a conservative. See, I'm a conservative. I identify as a conservative. In the meantime, you follow all the policies of all the communist, Marxist, socialist tendencies, and being supported by the local Marxist in their little country newspaper that prints nothing but lies because she lives in the frickin' land of pure imagination.
And you can't leave out the DA. I'm sorry. When's the last time anybody got prosecuted for a simple misdemeanor, especially at this pace, like what they're doing now? And who gave her the orders to do it? How did she make the decision to do it?
Well,
I'm sorry, but
you got Modi out there, using public resources to protect his property out there, and then we hear drifts in the wind that the DA's husband was doing the same thing, and I haven't seen any proof of that yet.
We were all playing patty cake together. I see.
So, gee, it's like this guy pressures everybody into doing it, or they're all a member of the good old boy club, and we're just chattel.
Kickbacks, but yeah, I'm just saying.
So
that the whole thing about is it's out of whack, and that's why we're doing the recall,
right?
And because of the stuff that they're doing like that, and people are starting to wake up, and it's our duty to get the information out. At least I feel it's my duty.
Oh, but you can decline the sign if you. It's like what? So all this money coming in on the 50 or the 401 forms, and we're the ones that are doing all the dark money. All of our funds that were raised for the recall were done through fundraising events.
Correct.
And you see the guys supporting these guys, and there's 20 guys out on the street with sickles and hammers. Going, you drive by and it's like, don't decline to sign, yay. There's like 20 people, half the county.
But it's our right to do the recall.
There's no problem with their rights. What I'm saying is the numbers are way out of whack.
Yeah.
Okay, the numbers are way out of whack. They're not getting the support of the community anymore, I think is what's happening, and they're losing the narrative.
And I think people are getting where they're not. They don't feel so intimidated, even if they do. They're starting to stand
anyway
up
if you
more.
Keep letting these guys in. Like they've been doing a good job in protecting everybody. Bullshit. All right, so we're coming to the end here. I don't know how many minutes we got.
We got about 1 minute left. Yeah. So I just want to tell people, get out there. Even if you don't support all of the efforts, at least let the people decide on the recall at the local level, and definitely vote tomorrow for the governor. If nothing else, if you listen to even part of this, you know that you got to say yes for the governor.
Yeah, if you're not getting rid of Newsom after you see this, I think you need your head examined a little bit.
Anyway, get out there and show your Americanism.
That kind of wraps it up. And so, as always, I like to say that you were born an original, don't die a copy. Remember, amateurs built the ark, professionals built the Titanic. Government is not reason, it is not eloquence, it is force, and force like fire is a dangerous servant and a fearful master. George Washington wrote that, and it is prevalent today as it was then.
Yep, and we will see you next week. Thanks, everyone.